You ask questions, and I answer them.
Are you guys nuts? What am I talking about? It's super cool because of the gentle design.
Boom, watch fam.
What is up, Watch fam? Welcome to episode 68 of ASKTNH. It is extremely humid outside. We usually record in the car, but today we are outside, and it is, I'm wearing a sweater. Let's do questions. Team TNH, should I engrave the case back of my watch? Yes and no. It totally depends on what the hell the watch is for, right? And what the whole purpose of buying it was, right? So times when you shouldn't, engrave the case back of a watch. When you plan on selling it, if you have the vague intention, even if it's not an investment, but you're like, hey, you have a track record of buying and selling watches. No, of course not. Don't go near it with a I don't know, laser, I suppose. But when it comes to a watch that you're really going to keep, right, and really going to hold onto for a long time or forever and be an heirloom, then 100%. Yeah, I mean, you can engrave it with like initials or engrave it with a message or whatever the hell. I think it's a really cool thing that you can do. And it's a question of residual value, because what if something happens and you really do have to sell it in the long run, or you just necessarily don't want to hurt the value of the watch as a whole, all right, or the appraisal for whatever reason. It's hard. Most of the time, I don't think it really matters. I haven't had a hard time selling or watching watches sell that have engravings in the case back. And nothing's really happened. Most people who are buying those watches, they're like, okay, sounds good, it's got a cool story. And if anything, a lot of times, people are actually really intrigued by that stuff. They're like, wow, cool, like 45th birthday for John M. Yeah, that's a cool thing. Not always, but sometimes. Speaking of which, I have to actually answer an email of a guy who was actually asking for the history of one of his watches, and it's got a really cool story behind it. But I have to answer that right now after the show. Remind me, please. But that's the truth. I mean, people really do want some sort of a story or some sort of a connection to the past when they're buying vintage. So really, if anything, it very well may strengthen it. I wouldn't be too surprised if your family crest on the case back of a Rolex or back of a Patek could actually maybe slightly appreciate your watch. And if not necessarily in price, up front, maybe it'll sell quicker because it's interesting. There's a mystery there too. I mean, it could be provenance, I don't know. It is a very, very subjective and kind of like up to a free-flowing market at the time question, because you just don't know. If I'm on the market for a date just in 15 years and yours happens to be there and it has a kick-ass engraving, I may take a much closer look at yours than somebody else's. My dog is going nuts just because of that engraving. So it's really hard. It's definitely not a black and white issue, but if I were you, if it's going to be a watch you're going to hold on to at least for quite a while, then do it and be thoughtful about it. It could be really cool. Thank you guys for watching episode 68 of AskTNH. Talking about date just like at the end. Our last episode was about like the polished cases on vintage Rolexes, date just, or Submariner. So check that episode out. It was very cool. There's kind of a lot of complexity to that whole matter and what you really value. But apart from that, subscribe to our channel on YouTube if you enjoyed this video. Follow us on Snapchat and tune in next time.